Greetings, welcome back, welcome back. We are here with another episode of the Texans Sports Podcast, episode 111. 3-1s, baby. We are making history. We are here with my esteemed colleagues, Mr. Ben Holloway, and Gary's on the road, but he's committed, and we're glad that he's here because he's won. All of our teams won, so we should all be happy, right?
Absolutely.
The key word is should be, but yes.
Why aren't you happy, Gary? Please, why aren't you happy, buddy? Are you okay? We're here for emotional support.
Because in Giants lore, Giants history, when we should get a higher draft pick, we don't. When we should be in a position to end up with a higher draft pick, we win a game that we really didn't need to. But that speaks more to how trash Washington is versus how good the Giants are, because now that touchdown Tommy's got a win under his belt, then the Disney movie shall now commence.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But hey, man, I totally get that. Totally get that. Looking forward to your grad for a little bit and a little bit later. And we got a little bit of. So tonight we're going to be discussing the Super Bowl rematch. That was a heck of a game. Can the Texans actually win the AFC South? And we're going to discuss the NFL teams and the teams that we're the most confident in. But Ben, Gary, you might want to put your thing on mute there, buddy, because of the background sound. Yeah, thank you. So we Chiefs and Eagles.
Chiefs and Eagles.
Man. Chiefs and Eagles. Like, there's so many emotions that I have on this one, but I first have to say that I have to be selfish on this one and just say that I think the Eagles for winning this game, because now we're only 2 games back. And we have a tie break, and we have a tie split between us and the Chiefs. So there's hope with 7 games left. But man, Chiefs, we've been saying they've been playing with house fire for the last several years now, since Tyreek Hill has left. Juju Smith-Schuster is gone. These receivers are 2 and 3s, and they're expecting them to play like once. That's all I'm going to say. What's your thoughts, Ben?
Yeah, so on that, the drops are just insane. 26 through 10 games, which is the most of the last 10 years, the most through 10 games. It's them and 2 other teams. And Mahomes last night, 24 completed passes, only 177 yards, 24 passes. He could complete 177 yards on 10 passes in the past. Like, under 200 yards passing is crazy, but it's become a little bit of a norm. The other thing that would definitely be concerning for me if I was a Chiefs fan, which I'm not, in 10 games this year, they have averaged 5 points in the second half, 53 in total. So let's say 5.1 or whatever you want to say, but 53 points in the second half of the 10 games they played this year. That is absurd. That's like concern. That I don't even know what the word is. Besides, that's just atrocious offense in the second half. And close games in the playoffs, you need to score in the second half. I'm not saying they can't do it, but we got a 10-game sample size of them severely struggling in the second halves. And they really are just too reliant on Kelsey, man. They just and that long play that Scantling, Valdez Scantling. I understand it wasn't the easiest catch in the world, and he's getting beat up, of course. But at the same time, on that play, I was just watching a replay I was watching a little bit of First Take just now, and Kelsey was triple teamed. They literally had 3 guys on him. 3. So the receivers have to make plays in those situations. So it's just – and one last thing, and we'll toss it over to you, Gary. Jalen Hurts, just the eye test – It don't look the same, man. Forget the whole team and the offense. Just he is absolutely not moving the way that he was last year. That knee injury is probably more severe than what they're saying. But just watching the amount of some of the sacks he took last night, you're like, man, he would have never got that. That would have never been a sack. He's taking a lot of sacks.
RG3 vibes. I'm getting R3. I'm talking about as far as the knee injury. The knee injury, not the level of play, Gary. Like just there's something about it. I'm a little bit concerned. That's why they need to try to close this division out and try to get this first seed as soon as possible so they can try to rest him. But Gary, your thoughts?
I mean, Ben, you nailed it as far as like the drop passes, the inefficiency in the red zone. I think that is a problem. Like I said, the Mahomes injury is definitely something to consider. But here's something that I heard recently or heard this morning, and I'm like, it gave me some thought. While no, he's not necessarily knocking out the park where he's at now, I really think the Chiefs miss Eric Bieniemy. I think we talk about he should have a coaching position, head coaching opportunity someplace, looking like it's probably going to be Washington, but sometimes you're just good as part of the system. Case in point, look at the Patriots. None of their coordinators have gone on to be great head coaches, but they're excellent as part of that system. And Eric Bieniemy is very much a part of that system. And I feel like, they're missing that. And I know, like I said, Bieniemy's not necessarily winning over locker rooms in Washington. But again, let him go back to Kansas City under Andy Reid. We'll be talking about him being the great offensive mind once again.
Yeah, there could be a part of that. Could be also, that's a very good point. I lost where I was going, but I think that there's comfort level, right? There's a comfort, there's a trust. Like, okay, fine, Bieniemy wasn't calling the plays. So what? I bet you Mahomes and Bieniemy had an excellent relationship, and they don't talk anymore, at least on game day. So yeah.
I mean, are we getting to the point where? I mean, we talk about mediocrity. I mean, there's a larger discussion that needs to be had here as far as this game. This was a very ugly game. This wasn't high scoring. There was a lot of drop passes. There was a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of turnovers. I think Tom Brady has a point when he's talking about mediocrity. And there's not many great teams, right? We talked about the 49ers at first. They were going to roll. Then they lost 3 games in a row. We talked about, the Eagles, they're 9-1, but Garrett, to your point, like, don't you think they are a fugazi, as like you like to say, a fugazi 9-1, Gary? Ben even as well?
I don't know necessarily. Like, it's not they're borderline fugazi because they have the talent that makes the 9-1 record make sense. Saying that, yes, a lot of their wins have been not knock it out the park. They're not beating people up the way they were last season. But frankly, do they have to? Like if you can beat who you beat, the numbers, the score doesn't matter. The wins do. And it wasn't necessarily the most glamorous game last night. It wasn't a high scoring affair, nor did I think it was going to be. But a win's a win. 9-1 is 9-1. We talked about the Giants last season, how they had that 7-2 start, and it was just like, no, none of them were like these 40-point blowouts, but those were the wins that led them into.
Yeah,
and so the wins are going to lead them into the number 1 seed in the NFC, and
It's true. And Gary, you're cutting off there a little bit, but Ben, but see though, I think that we're kind of getting to the season where style points kind of matter when we're talking about the upper echelon of these teams, right? When we're talking about the Eagles, and we're talking about the 49ers, what we've seen with the 49ers is that they've shown against good high quality competition, good style points and winning dominantly, right? And I think that when you're talking about comparing them against the 49ers or the Ravens, right, there is a little bit of a risk when we're talking about not seeing them being able to put it together for a consistent 60 minutes of football. And I do think that brings a level of concern then.
Yeah, you're talking about the Eagles.
The Eagles,
their
inconsistency.
They just it just they're winning, man. But
I'm sorry, man. I was just saying it's not fancy, it's effective, and that's all they need to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's 9-1. They're getting wins, but man, it don't look pretty.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about them potentially winning a Super Bowl, like we know that if it's an ugly game, if it's a defensive game, that's going to be to their benefit. But if they play San Francisco, that game against San Francisco, I think is going to be a true litmus test as far as
Hmm.
can they actually, if they're down by 14 points to a very, very, very good 49ers team, can they come back? Right? Like that's going to be the true barometer of what this team, I think, is. But just a little bit on the Chiefs here, their defense is actually really good. And
Yeah,
we
yeah,
talk about
really,
we
really
talk
good. Yeah,
about we talk about if this offense can get it together, and I just do not see it getting together for the Chiefs. And I hate to say it, but they're going to win more with defense versus offense. I can't believe I'm actually saying that for the Kansas City Chiefs.
yeah. It's crazy that you have, I would still say, the best player in the NFL, in Patrick Mahomes, and he ain't carrying that team. The defense is for sure.
I mean, but he's
Gary?
compromised, and then that's the reality of it. Like, they're not going to
Yeah,
say it, and he's not going to let on too much about it. But we all have eyes. We can see like he doesn't have the same explosiveness as he's had in years past, and he knows that the knee injury is a real thing.
I mean, hey, look, it's gonna be very, very, very interesting. And thanks for joining us, the irrelevant fan. But you're relevant in our eyes, so thank you for joining. We're gonna star that one. But anyway, how about those Texans? We're gonna be talking about that there in a second. But we can sit here and talk about the Kansas City Chiefs all day. They've lost. I'm happy for obvious reasons. So we're just gonna keep on. We're just gonna keep on keeping on here. These Ravens and Ben, these Ravens, can they reach a Super Bowl without Mark Andrews for the majority of the season? And I'm going to say, just because of how poor the AFC is and how wide open it is, there's a potential that they can do it. But any other year, I would say no. My concern
mhm.
is that after Mark Andrews is gone, Odell had a decent game, but we know that he can't stay upright. The rookie wide receiver that they've had kind of has been up and down, and their running game is non-existent, and they've blown fourth quarter double-digit leads. So you just don't know what you're going to get with this Ravens team, especially now that Mark Andrews is gone. Ben, and then Gary, we'll get you in this
Yeah, I think that they can, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that likely the Bills and the Bengals are not going to be around in January. The Bills, I understand, have a positive point differential, have a winning record, but their schedule, man, whew, it's tough. It's brutal. There's a very good chance that the AFC playoffs will not have the Bills and will not have the Bengals, and that enhances everyone
one. Yeah, the
else's
Broncos.
chances to be fair. Yeah, the Broncos might be there. They might be there.
They will be.
Um,
They will be. Show some
but
respect.
the other thing I will say on the what's it called, as far as the playmakers go, that rookie that they got, the rookie running back Keaton Mitchell, he I believe is going to start seeing even more touches as the season goes on. And Isaiah Likely, he's been kind of up and down in the opportunities that he has gotten. He's their backup tight end and now starting tight end. But and Zay Flowers, like you said, it's kind of been up and down. But ultimately, I think they have enough on offense, and of course that defense is legit. I mean, that defense is no joke. And so, can they reach the Super Bowl? It's kind of like yes, they
Toss up,
can.
man.
They
It's a toss
can.
up.
I mean, they got the defense. I think they got enough weapons to sustain that absence. But man, since Lamar and Andrews been together, it's been like Kelsey Mahomes. Lamar and Andrews, it's the same connection, man.
Exactly. Gary, let's get you in this one.
No, you mentioned Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey being compared to Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson. It's the same thing as it's the Brady Gronk effect. You
Hmm.
have the strong safety valve at tight end who can make catches, who can block, who can be super effective across the board. Like when you miss that, I mean, listen, it gives the opportunity for this wide receiving core to stand up more, get more opportunities. But at the end of the day, that's a huge piece of the puzzle missing. And I mean, I don't think that they're going to go on some wild losing streak as a result of it. But I think that they are better suited for front loading these 8 wins that they've got thus far, or it was the 7 or 8 wins they have now, because it's going to help them in the long run. Hopefully, Andrews can come back before the season's over, or, if they make the playoffs when they're in the playoffs. But they have to prepare for life without him, and I don't know what that's going to look like. You made your point, Jeff. Odell Beckham, this should be an opportunity for him to be the stud wideout for this team, but we know he's one bad tackle away from being back to square one yet again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gary, you see it on the field. I've watched every Ravens game, and even when they came to Arizona, there have been times where he literally gets tackled, and it takes him a while to get back up, and he misses about 3 or 4 series. So if anyone is really expecting that this Odell Beckham from the Giants, who had that phenomenal catch, is going to be that Odell Beckham, I think you're sadly mistaken. The reality is that this is a very flawed team. They are 8-3. Yes, they are. But who just showed up? Who just showed up? Stop the presses. Stop the presses. It is the fan from that team up north, Tigney. She's going to be smiling now, y'all, but in 9 days when we're back, she ain't going to be smiling after those Buckeyes whoop that butt. But anyway, glad to have you back. Tigney, how are you doing today? That is so adorable. That is so great. Get that out my face. Respectfully.
Time out, pause. Everybody that's watching, I got my nails done, as you can see. Yes.
That's great. That's lovely. Lovely. I'm so happy for you.
What's up, Marisa? How we feeling?
Go Blue. I'm doing good. Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Fighting a little cold, so I apologize if I sound a little nasally. So I apologize about that. But good to be with everybody. Good to be with the audience.
DTS Queen is always welcome. Don't worry.
Yes, she is. I promise that crown's coming. The mail's just been FedEx has just been acting weird lately. I got to call them. But let's get you in on this one. Let's get you on this one because we're talking about the Ravens and Mark Andrews, and we were just talking about his loss and how Odell Beckham has to be able to be productive for them. But this is a very flawed 8-3 team. But just your overall thoughts on their ability just to try to make the Super Bowl without Mark Andrews.
I mean, it could be possible, but like you stated, and I don't know the gist of the conversation that you all had, or anybody that's been watching, but it is about the health of the players. It is about the health of Odell. It's about the health of Jackson and Bateman and Flowers. They have to be key contributors, and they have to be 100% healthy in order for this team to be effective and make some kind of noise. I mean, they're going to be overshadowed by the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, possibly the Dallas Cowboys, any other honorable mentions that could come through. But it all boils down to these players stepping in and stepping up for Mark Andrews, which was absolutely key. His role and that big loss. I mean, we saw it in the last game when he did go down with an injury. The reaction of Lamar Jackson, because he knew that was his weapon. And now that you take him out of the equation, everybody else on that offense is going to have to step up in a big way. But when they do step up, they're going to have to make sure that they stay healthy throughout, or else it's going to be another thud of a season for the Baltimore Ravens.
And Gary, I think that the Ravens are one bad tackle away from being completely irrelevant because now Lamar Jackson has been hobbled a little bit with some of those hits that he's been taking. He's been limping. He's not 100%. It just shows how valuable Lamar Jackson is to his team here.
It also shows what happens when you give quarterbacks big money. I mean, look at what we've come across in the last couple of weeks. Yes, we have Joe Burrow, big money, done. Lamar Jackson, big money, hobbled. This is
Justin Herbert, big money.
It's the Chargers. It's just that franchise is cursed.
I
don't blame him anymore. It's just look what they did. Because they almost ruined Drew Brees. He had to go to New Orleans to reinvent himself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, facts, but
100%.
Yeah. But we're gonna do a little bit of a switcherooski here. Ben, before we're actually gonna move Ben Gets Loud rant ahead before we get to the top 3. But Tigney, I just want to give you 1 minute to when it was 4 minutes and you guys were down, 14 to the
Oh,
Bears.
Jesus.
What was going through your mind? I just have to, because I saw your tweets, I saw you posting.
Oh, God.
I,
Here's the thing that's the beautifulness of Dayquil and me falling in and out of sleep and consciousness while trying to not lose my mind in front of the public eye. When I tell you that literally, and I'm sorry for those that had Jared Goff as your fantasy, and the way that he was throwing the ball to everybody but the people that had the same uniform as him. That surprised me. That shocked me. And then I already saw everybody kind of lose their mind. I'm going to admit it. I'm that fan that literally I was like, all right, well, let's move on to Thanksgiving. Let's beat the Packers. Let's go on and see if we can become, 8-3 or whatever the case. When he threw that beautiful pass to Jameson Williams, I was stunned. I was just like, okay, I'm not going to get myself hyped. I'm not going to get myself excited. We've seen this before. I mean, hello, panel, audience. We've seen what the Lions have done. The last captain comeback that we had now plays for the Rams. So, I was like, maybe surely, but I'm not going to put all my eggs in the basket. To do that and to make two key plays like that and to get the former Chicago Bear, David Montgomery, in for the score to take the lead, to go for two, that worked out. And the way that everything fell afterwards, I almost pulled a hammy running around the kitchen, but I walked it off like a G because I didn't want nobody, saying anything about this 50-year-old woman running around like a lunatic, but it was a good reason why. This team has grit, man. It was just things that I saw on the internet. Grit, don't quit, which is great. But my blood pressure, it took about 4 hours for it to come down. I don't ever want to see a game like that again. So hopefully on a short week, they figure it out on offense. Jared Goff makes better decisions behind the ball. The defense, they were effective in the fourth quarter. But there was some inexcusable passes that they should have not allowed Justin Fields to throw. I'm going to need them to, not have Jordan Love that did squeak out a win against the Chargers. Both of these teams coming in from high momentums to Ford Field. I'm going to need the Detroit Lions to shut the door on this team and to just make better decisions, especially offensively behind the ball.
There you go. My Broncos gave you a gift beating those Vikings. So congratulations.
I'll see your Broncos in a few weeks. We'll welcome them with red carpet when we come.
We coming. Yeah, we coming.
Chill with your 5-5 vibes right now. I know that you're
Four-game winning streak.
I know that you are up here on cloud 9, but when you and number 3 and everybody else on your squad comes to Detroit, we'll see how it goes. We may put a little wager on it. All for
we're gonna have to put something on there. Go ahead, Gary.
Can I just say for the record, I'm not jealous or anything, but I miss feeling this way about my Giants. Excited about games. I know it's been a season. It's only been a year, but I miss this.
All your teams, your teams have something in common every time that you talk, and that is you were there to witness, or you were able to read about or watch on history, football media channels, whatever, of the Super Bowl trophy. That's something that we do not have. The only thing that we've done is we hosted a Super Bowl, and that was the last year of Jerome Bettis when the Pittsburgh Steelers won it. So that's as close as we came to a Super Bowl, just watching other teams that were not Detroit Lions win it.
All right. Hey, glad there's optimism.
We're not in it.
I really want to have your rant here because I'm really looking forward.
Ben's ready. Look at him. Let's go.
Take the floor. You got your time. Ben's rant, everybody. Just go ahead, sir.
All right, here we go. So we all know about the NFL and all the concussions and all the payouts and settlements that they paid out. Millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. We really care about player safety. We really do, guys. we really want you guys to have, long careers, want you to be successful afterwards. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to maximize the amount of money that we can get because we are an industry. So we're going to maximize the amount of money that we can get. So we're going to make you guys play on Thursday. We're going to make you guys go travel internationally so we can grow the game internationally. We're going to add a 17th game, and we're going to make it so, like, the NFL, it's just, I mean, at the end of the day, money talks. We all know that. But the NFL does not care about player safety as much as they want you to believe. Because if they did, these things would not be happening, especially the Thursday night game. I mean, we already alluded to it a little bit. You got Joe Burrow out for the year due to that Thursday night game. We got Mark Andrews possibly out for the year. Lamar Jackson got banged up in that same game, and Odell Beckham Jr. got hurt in that same game as well. And I'm sorry, we watched NFL games to see the stars, and we know injuries are part of the game, but I can't take it when people are saying, the NFL specifically, as far as, we really care about the player safety. We're really doing everything we can. It's like, no, what you're doing is maximizing the amount of money and revenue that you can get by doing all these international games, trying to grow the game, and all these Thursday games that, if we're being completely honest, most of the time the Thursday night games are not entertaining. Even if it's good teams, a lot of times it's not a good product, especially these teams just coming off of Sunday game most of the time, playing on Thursday. It's not a good product on Thursday nights. It really isn't. And it drives me a little bit crazy, especially kind of watching the game made me more so think about this because of all the stars that went down in that Ravens-Bengals game. It's just like, man, like they don't – I'm not saying they don't care, because ultimately they do want the best product on the field, which means the best players on the field. But it's really hard for me to really say that the players are the number one priority, because it's just the facts are the facts. Like it just irks me a little bit as far as the NFL. Oh, we care so much about the players. We admitted our mistakes. We paid hundreds of millions of dollars to all these players, and we're really going to take concussions seriously. Speaking of concussions, Tua last year should have never played in that Thursday night game against the Bengals because he had a concussion that's on Sunday. They allowed him to play on Thursday, and we know what happened on that Thursday night game to Tua, unfortunately. So, like, even the fact that they're paying more attention to concussions, forget the Thursday night game. Tua should have never went out for the second half of that Miami Bills game last year. Anybody who saw him go down, you knew it was a concussion. And the fact that it just bothers me, man. It really does.
What's alarming to me is that they shortened the preseason. They added a week to the regular season. We still have this Thursday night, as you stated. And it's just, to me, in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, I agree with you, Ben, to the fact of the NFL is becoming this cash cow grab, and that the players they're not looked at as, okay, they looked at as, you're here clocking for your job and get to work, but they're not looked at as humans, if that makes sense. So they're like in and out with, we got these games on Thursdays, instead of traditional Thanksgiving games that we're accustomed to, the Sunday nights, the Monday night, and then the Thursday night game with Thanksgiving. And now we have it consistently every single week. NFL just wants to mention 127 times Taylor Swift. Exactly. That too. That has become,
oh my God.
If they mention her, the ratings will increase. And it's just like, we've taken football, we've turned it into a cash cow, and then now we're mixing it and rolling it around with entertainment for the sake of money, for the sake of ratings, for the sake of viewership, for the sake of, the people that, and I'll say this real quick. I asked 5 people that were Taylor Swift fans, 5 people that were Taylor Swift fans, if they can name me 5 NFL teams besides the Kansas City Chiefs. They couldn't do it.
course not.
They couldn't do it.
But if Taylor Swift was there last night, he would never dropped it, right? He wouldn't have dropped that pass. Right?
All I'm saying is,
there,
listen.
Right?
All I'm saying is that when Green Bay and the Chiefs play, they better show Simone Biles and talk about her just as much.
You know they won't.
That's all I'm going to say.
They're not going to.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Otherwise, I'm done. Kidding. But
they'll show her one, Jeff. But you made a valid point. They'll show her one time. They'll show her one time. If it's on NBC, they'll show her one time. Plug in the Olympics to it because that's what Mike Tirico likes to segue to, and then it'll be done with, and then that's it. But I counted the night when him and Chris Collinsworth had
that Jets Chiefs game. That Jets Chiefs game was like every sentence.
But here's the thing: they had mentioned Taylor Swift between the both of them 27 times. 27 times.
Gary, you know.
We have mentioned Taylor Swift in this conversation segment 27 times. I just want to say that out loud. Also,
Gary, let's get you on this, man. I know you got some thoughts. 30 seconds. What's your thoughts, man? Just say how you feel. Quick.
I would like to make a suggestion for the four of us. Anytime that Taylor Swift's name is mentioned, and this is a reference for us older kids, I would like to make that the secret word of the day, and when the secret word is said, we scream real loud. Shout out to the late great Pee Wee Herman on that.
Shout out to Paul Rubens.
Yes, may you rest in peace.
All I'm gonna say is someone put a tweet out, and I really wish I was trying to find the tweet when Ben was talking, where they talked about how a team should only play a Thursday night game when they're coming off a bye week. Remember that tweet, Ben? It's too logical. Like Ben, you said, it's too logical. Like you shouldn't be playing a game on a Sunday and then playing on Thursday. I don't have an issue with Thursday night games, but to have them turn around.
Yeah, I was just gonna say either coming off a bye or you play Sunday, you play Thursday, and then you have a bye.
There you go.
So you have another 10. You have a 10-day.
But then that's too complicated because they got to keep the money flowing, right? They have to keep,
Oh yeah. Always. It's like you want to see the best product on the field, but it seems like the NFL doesn't care that much about that. They just care that people pay to watch the games.
I think that's a great question. Talk about the London games, Ben, because you went there with. What's your thoughts about international games? Now you got Frankfurt, Germany, and you got London.
It's just, let's add another thousands and thousands of miles to the players' flights, that where they're not already traveling thousands and thousands of miles. And then let's add a time change. Then let's add, holy crap, we've never been to this city before. If we go want to get a pizza, where do we go?
This is where you got to utilize the bye week for them too, them to come. And I was amazed by the Baltimore Ravens to come from London, and then they end up playing Detroit that Sunday and beat the brakes off of us. And just the NFL, the Fat Cats were watching that and said, "Oh, okay, well that's fine." They adjusted to the time change. They beat the Lions sound-handedly, so no problems, no worries whatsoever. And then the following week afterwards, they struggled. So
the thing that I struggle with is that I've worked in logistics my whole life, and so I think about these things, right? And they have all this money, but they can't make smart decisions. It's like they make it too complicated for themselves. I just don't understand. You could still make the money, but just do it right. It's okay to do it in London. It's okay to do it in Germany. But just make it make sense. These Thursday night games, you got to practice what you preach. You can't have a team not come off a bye week and play on a Thursday. That just doesn't, because the product matters on the players, right? Like Geno Smith probably is not going to play because obviously Thanksgiving is a different story. But just for the argument, right? To have an injury and then having to play on a Thursday, it's just going to be impossible. But anywho, we could talk about this forever. This is. Ben, that was a lovely rant.
That was good, Ben.
That was a good one, Ben. We're definitely gonna have to get you back on this one. Let's get a couple fans here. It says, the relevant fan, if the NFL really wants to make money, start televising my Texans and Stroud. They get no national games that are missing out on making money off my Texans.
I'll give you all of them. They televise them here all the time. I'm in Texas.
And then we got,
don't worry, they're gonna be Stroud's gonna be on national TV next year. Don't worry.
A lot.
Yep. Right. Or for instance, how is Jacksonville, Houston not a primetime game for the first place in South? Talk about flexing games. They should flex that.
They should be able to flex games like after week 4. Like you already know who's good and who's bad. You should be able to change those Bears. Oh my God, the Bears.
If you're 1-8, if you're 1-8, I don't want to see you on Monday night. Well, I'm trying to fight sleep.
Why do the Bears have so?
I don't. If you're.
Why do the Bears have so many primetime games? They play twice on Thursday and then they got it on Monday.
They got a lot.
It's not a game I want to see.
What was that?
What is
2
it?
weeks ago,
what is Vikings and
Bears versus Carolina.
Oh my gosh, that was that last week? That was horrible.
Week before that injury. The week before Burrow and all that. The week before it was Carolina versus the Bears.
It was 10-6 forever.
Yeah, but let's
get to let's go.
Let's get
move,
this thing
Jeff.
going.
Let's go.
Let's get to these top 3. Gary, I'm gonna toss it to you here because the top 3 teams that were most confident to reach the Super Bowl, not necessarily the power rankings, but in what we're gonna do the
confidence poll.
Top AFC top 3, NFC top 3. So let's get in here. Just be very careful. If the Broncos are not in the AFC top 3, you get cut. That's all I'm saying. But go ahead, Gary.
Okay. So in the NFC, I'm going to, it's pretty straightforward. I think number 1 is the 49ers. I think losses already, in the bag. I think they're the most complete team in the conference. Yes, they've had some bad losses on their resume, but their wins have been pretty dominant from what I've noticed, and I think they're, they have they have all the strength in their favor to get to the Super Bowl. I think you go Eagles 2, and then ready, everybody?
Yep.
I hope I'm not jinxing it.
Say it,
Marisa. I'm saying.
Let's go.
I'm looking at the rest of that conference, and I'm like, really, who else? Don't tell me Dallas because, first verse, second verse, same as the first in that case. You can't tell me anybody in the NFC West, like Seattle, no. So I'm like, yeah, Detroit, not unfortunately, but fortunately for you, I'm going to go ahead and put them in that 3rd spot. In the AFC, I think it's Kansas City, despite the loss. I think nobody was expecting them to go 17-0, so I feel like, hey, you're going to have to take a loss here and there. So I'm like, I guess this loss is a bit forgivable because I feel like we'll be a month down the road and we won't be thinking about this loss again. 2, I'm going Baltimore, and then 3, depending on the Tyreek Hill injury and how that's going to, play out, I'll say Miami right now. I'm not going to say the Broncos because you are investing in Seabiscuit, and eventually that horse breaks down. It's my age.
Seabiscuit reference.
Am I laughing? Go. Am I laughing? I'm not laughing.
Let's go. Seabiscuit reference.
Gary, that's why you raggedy ass Giants are trash. I'm just saying, respectfully. Love you, Gary. I'm just saying.
Respectfully. That's awesome. That was fantastic.
That's a good one. All right.
Well done, Gary. Well done.
He's like touche, my friend. Touche.
This little raggedy ass Giants trying to spit on my stuff. Right here.
Oh shoot.
No, respectfully, Gary. Love you, Gary. Tiggy, your thoughts.
Mine is similar to his. I had the 49ers first. I mean, the resurgence of Brock Purdy and this incredible offense. They're making plays now. They had a little bump in the road, and they're now getting it together and looking at the rest of their schedule. I don't see them having any other problems. I know Seattle's going to have some moments. I just feel that Seattle's going to taper off there in the NFC West. 2, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. The resiliency in the second half of that game on Monday. I mean, they're going to continue to adjust and to make improvements, and they're going to slip by Dallas and end up winning the NFC East. Of course, I have my Lions in there. I mean, right now I'm shooketh the way that they're playing right now and giving everybody heart palpitations and pooping their drawers at the same time while it's just tied up in high blood pressure. I'm looking at the rest of their schedule, and it is winnable. I see that they're going to have a little struggle possibly because the Bears are butthurt right now, and they should have won that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to handle themselves when they go back to Chicago. It's going to be very interesting to see how the resurgence of the Denver Broncos is going to affect this game, though they hosted at home and they haven't played Minnesota yet. They played them twice, so they haven't done it. They'll end the year playing Minnesota. And, of course, Ben's Cowboys. I'm going to that game. I cannot wait. We'll see how that goes with them because they're on the pathway where, this is going to be an interesting matchup when December 30th comes and it's all said and done. For the AFC, I got the Chiefs. Again, they'll make adjustments as they go and, score points in the first and second half, not just the first half, and go ghosts. And the receivers need to turn around and make it happen. I have Miami ahead of Baltimore, Gary, just for the sheer fact of Mark Andrews. To see if, again, as we discussed, if any of those guys that we were talking about would go up, and, step up and, stay healthy. And then obviously, Miami with Tyreek, in his injury. So that's who I got.
No Broncos, but that's okay.
Broncos was an honorable mention. Actually, it's written on my sheet.
Oh, how about that? Okay, you're just saying that to make me feel good.
No, really. I have them as honorable mention because
honorable mention as most confident to make the Super Bowl.
Honorable mention as most confident to surprise a lot of people to make the postseason. Super Bowl, no.
Yeah, okay. Because we're talking Super Bowl here. We're talking Super Bowl.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna say this right now. If the Broncos make the Super Bowl, I'm coming.
Yeah, you are.
Y'all don't want that to happen. It's probably not gonna happen. But anyway, I live in
come in, and then they're gonna have you be a special guest commentator on the sideline. Let's go.
Hey, that'd be great. Oh, I'll be cheesing so hard.
There's a better chance that the Broncos are gonna end up 7-10 in the Super Bowl, but sure.
See, Biscuit.
You just a hater. You's a trifling hater.
Wait,
Ben, we have a front row show to the comedy. Hey.
Wait for my friend to understand why.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. Teams most confident to make Super Bowl. I'm going to be the only one that's got the Eagles at 1 in the NFC. I know they've won ugly, but, man, when you win, you win. When you win tough games, when you win close games, you're learning how to win. Not learning how to win, but you're just winning. Got Niners 2, Lions at 3. Can't trust my Cowboys. They haven't beaten anybody yet. They'll have plenty of opportunity to do so, but at the moment, they haven't beaten anybody above 500. AFC, I still got Chiefs 1. I don't know, man. I don't know why necessarily, but I got them at 1. I got Miami at 2, man. That offense, man. They with Tyreek and Waddle and this whole talk about they can't beat anyone. I get it. They haven't yet either, similar to Dallas, but before the playoff game last year in Buffalo, which they almost won with Skylar Thompson, they had a December game in Buffalo with Tua, and it was snowing. And they didn't win, but they were right there. And the fact that they can play these tough teams, they haven't gotten over the hump this year and beaten a good team, but I think that they're confident in those games still. I think the fact that you got Tyreek, you got Waddle, you have a really good running game, your defense is starting to come around, Jalen Ramsey's starting to play better. I really think Miami still could be there in the end. They'll have more opportunities to beat some good teams, but it's not like they didn't beat good teams last year.
Right.
It's just this year they've just – and they only got blown out once. I mean, that Buffalo game absolutely annihilated. But they almost beat the Chiefs.
It
The
happens.
Eagles, they were right there for the most part. Eagles got a touchdown at the end. So I think Miami's there, and I got Ravens 3. All yours, Jeff.
Okay.
Have at it.
Here's what I'm gonna say about blowouts. I mean, the Lions are what? The Lions are 8-2, and they got obliterated.
You can say it, 9-2. That's right. Soon to be. You're right.
No. Y'all gonna have that third loss after the Broncos game. But anyway, like teams get blown out. Teams have to. I said what I said. Teams get blown out. Like it's how you bounce back, right? The Lions bounce back, right? Like it happens. You're gonna have those games. My Broncos gave up 70 freaking points, okay? And now we're coming back, and now we're coming for it. But anyway, enough about my Broncos. But so I have a lot of the same things about the NFC. I have Philly number 1. I have to because they're 9-1 and they find ways to win ugly. I'm going to say Detroit number 2 because what Detroit has been able to show is that they've been able to win in a litany of different ways, even without some of their key players, right? David Montgomery has been out for a big chunk of the game he's missing about 3 or 4 games, right? And they keep on chugging along, right? Jameis Williams is starting to get implemented to the team. Amon-Ra St. Brown missed some time, right? Like Laporta's been nicked up. They found ways, even when Jared Goff hasn't been playing his best, they found ways when their defense, who has actually been a strong suit for them, they've still been able to find ways when their defense hasn't played up to their ability. So when it comes to the eye test and litmus test, this Lions team is a lot different than the Lions teams in the past, and especially being able to come down from those raggedy-ass Bears. But anyway, I'm going to favor San Francisco, and I'm very concerned about San Francisco from the sense that Brock Purdy has shown that he is a system-oriented type of player. Because when Deebo Samuel's been out, when Trent Williams was out, when Christian McCaffrey was out, he was very pedestrian. Very pedestrian. He is thriving off of a litany of different all-pro, Hall of Fame talented type of players. When you have those type of players, you are balling out. And they're completely different. You see the 3 games that they've lost without those guys, and you see how they came back and obliterated the Jaguars, which is a very good team and a defense that is actually pretty decent.
They came back, and he's using Kittle.
That's what I'm saying. So if those guys go out, I am not sure that Brock Purdy is going to be the type of guy that's going to be able to carry. Like, I just think that's just what it's shown in the last 3 games. But anyway, AFC, this was just tough, man, because it's just, if Mr. Concussion can stay healthy, I got them at number 1. Because now you have Jalen Ramsey coming back, those weapons that they have, just something's telling me about that, right? I'm going to go number 2, Kansas City, because you still got Pat Mahomes, and they're still the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. So until someone beats them or until they're mathematically out of the playoffs, I have to have them in the top 3. And then number 3 to make the Super Bowl. I'm going to go with Baltimore, but I'm just not trusting them with those fourth quarter double-digit leads that they've had. That game against the Browns was a really, really, really ugly loss. That game against the Colts was a really ugly loss. And any more injuries that they have, they're just going to be a very average team. So I have my concerns. That's my top. That is my top. That is my top 3.
So you got to bubble wrap their weapons week to week to make sure that they stay healthy to get through the rest of the season and win.
Right. It's going to be very interesting. I think I just want to ask you this question. Do you agree with Tom Brady's stance on the mediocrity comment?
Yes, I do. I 100% do. And I like that he went there about it. All of us are old enough. I know I'm the oldest one of all of us here, but we're old enough to know the football that we have watched years and years of football, what we saw of the football days then and the football days now. Big contract, big difference. I don't care what the NFL's and Roger Goodell and the powers to be is saying, how they're making the helmets safer, the pads safer, changing the rules up, shortening the preseason, making the season longer, doing this and that. It goes back to Ben's rant about the dollars, all about the Benjamins, all about the bottom line. It has gotten soft. It has gotten where at times where, I look at old school football, or remember games that I went to growing up, And I'm going, these calls that these refs are making, ain't no way in the world when I went to such and such a game in 1980, that would have been called. And now it's just like we are 2 plays away from literally turning the NFL. It's a flag football. I'm sorry to say it, but the statement
it's a
that Tom,
sport.
I
mean, like this,
100%.
like, and Gary, I want to get your thoughts on. Yeah, Gary, I definitely, and then Ben, and I don't want to take too much time on this, but I think like and Gary, I want to toss this to you. Like, do you feel that the NFL is so focused on the bottom line that the product is severely hampered? Because there's no Randy Mosses and Chris Carters anymore. There's no Jerry Rices anymore. Like, I don't think those receivers. I don't think the talent that back then is. I don't think the talent now is nowhere near the talent back then.
I believe at this stage, the league is no longer as star driven, if that makes sense, even though they have the superstars of the day, like your Patrick Mahomes and their, Travis Kelce and this whole thing with what's her name. And, you have stars, but it's localized stars. It's not. Right now, Mahomes is the national name because he has a lot of the endorsement deals that makes him a national name. The same thing with Travis Kelce and his current romantic dealings. But that's the thing. Back in the day, like Tom Brady was a national name. The Patriots became a national team. Like they're like he became the brand. Right now, the brand is kind of Mahomes, but also kind of Lamar Jackson, but also Joe Burrow, but also a little bit of Justin Herbert, kind of, sort of. A little bit of Trevor Lawrence, kind of, sort of. Throw another star name out there. Like, it's no longer that one individual star is carrying the flag anymore. And I feel like that is part of the problem. I think, like, we've all spoken on it in this conversation. There's more. It's more about the money. As long as they are a $1 billion league and they maintain that $1 billion status, they don't care what. They're going to be a $1 billion entity and know that they can put a Carolina Chicago game on and people be mad about it, but they know people in Chicago are going to watch.
Right.
People in Carolina are going to watch. Gamblers are going to watch. Like art and NFL, the hardcore NFL fans, they're going to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So they're making money in spite of what is very much so a far lesser product than what we've all grown up on or are accustomed to. And this is very much a, get off my lawn moment, but it's the truth.
Hey, facts. Ben, your thoughts, and then let's get to this Texans, and then Gary, your gripe here. Any thoughts, Ben, on that before we move into the Texans, and will they win?
You guys covered it. I'm good.
Okay. All right. So this Buckeye named C.J. Stroud. Buckeye, not a Wolverine, a Buckeye. Is just playing it on fire. I got to throw shots. I'm sorry, respectfully. Can the Texans win the AFC South?
Will they? I don't. That's
they. Here's the thing, because they play your Broncos in a couple of weeks. They play Jacksonville this Sunday.
That's a loss.
I mean, this. Looking at their schedule, and you're seeing the resurgence of the Broncos. You're seeing Jacksonville get this huge win that they recently got. You're seeing now. Hopefully, I don't know. Again, I've been going through cold symptoms and all that. But did I see that Joe Flacco got signed to the Browns practice squad or whatever? I don't know what they're going to do with that. They still have the Titans to face. We don't know which Titans team is going to show up, if it's going to be a complete sweep right now. I mean, you can't let the record fool you. Everybody thought that the Broncos were done, and now they're at 500. So I'll give them a 75% chance. just because of the teams that I mentioned are on a resurgence, and one has question marks after, which is the Tennessee Titans. Again, we don't know, they still haven't faced them yet, and they will, twice in the back half of the season. So it did look like they can. The Colts are done. The mustache rider Minshew is not going to take that team anywhere. Let's keep it 100. So that's my thought about it. They can, but I'm 75% confident that they can.
Okay. Facts. Ben?
I'm just going to say no, that they won't. And that has to do with, to me, that's why I tried to eliminate the can. Let's be definitive here. Will they? I'm going to say no, and it has to do with not necessarily the Texans, more so the Jaguars. I give them a little bit of an edge at head coach. Doug Peterson's won a Super Bowl. And their roster, their playmakers, like Texans, sure, Tank Dell's balling out. Noah Brown, is playing pretty well. Robert Woods is on his last leg, but he's playing decent.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz. But the Jaguars have Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, and Travis Etienne.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take those weapons over the weapons on the Texans, and both their schedules are relatively easy. They are. I wrote them down. Their schedules are not tough at all for either of these teams.
I think it just boils down to this game between both of them.
Yeah, it's a big game because Houston win. If Houston wins, then they'll have swept the series. So then that's a tiebreaker, of course. But
yeah,
I just think that they are a year away from winning the division. But I will say, I'm relatively confident they can next year once they get some more pieces. But I just think that the Jags are taking it this year. And we know Gary, the Texans beat them. We know a relevant fan. We also know that was like 6 weeks ago, longer than 6 weeks ago.
And
it was a long time ago.
And Gary, before I toss it to you, and then after you go, just feel free to go into your gripe here. Here's what I'm gonna say is, the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence has been so up and down this year, and even from a fantasy relevant perspective, according to ESPN, he's only had over 20 points one time, and that was last week. He has been a very pedestrian quarterback with all those weapons that he's had. Now, we'll see how he comes back next week, but there's a little bit of concern there as far as just his viability as a top 10 franchise-type quarterback. I just have some concerns on that. That's why I think the Texans can. It's hard for me to say will because it's just the Texans still lost to the Panthers. So it's just kind of – it's like push and pull there. But Gary, your thoughts, and then feel free to take it away with your gripe, and then we'll conclude.
So with Houston, there's something to be said about momentum. I think you made all the valid points about Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville and how, despite having the weapons that he has, that it hasn't really resulted in any, blow them out the water type success that we expect. And they really, with that same team, put up 3 points. And I know it's the 49ers and it's a great defense, but only 3 points is still kind of a telling story there. It's not like you see them every season. You see them once every 4 years. So, saying that, I think Houston, the way that the AFC is set up, I don't think they'll catch Jacksonville, but I think they'll still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think, with Joe Burrow's injury knocking Cincinnati out of that contention, that opens the door for somebody, and I expect Houston to kind of take advantage of that spot. So, no, they won't catch Jacksonville, but yes, they will make the playoffs.
Okay. And your gripe, sir, what is on your mind?
I agree.
What is on Gary's mind today? We're ready.
So I need everybody to understand that in week 12 of the 2023 NFL season, in the state of New York, the best quarterback in the state is Josh Allen. And that is because his competition right now are Tommy DeVito and Tim Boyle. Ladies and gentlemen, That is the equivalent of being the world's smartest horse. That is the exact equivalent of this. So to the three of you, I say, Jeff, be thankful for Russell Wilson and his Seabiscuit ass. I say to you, Maurice, be thankful for Jared Goff because he's found himself in Detroit. Ben, I say to you, be thankful for Dak and whatever the hell he brings to Dallas. Like, because right now, on Sunday, the two quarterbacks for the Metropolitan New York franchises that we're trotting out there are Tim friggin' Boyle and Tommy DeVito. And I say happy Thanksgiving to everybody else.
I really think they're going to do a special. I really think they are going to do a special Tommy DeVito. I just sense it.
Wait. Let me.
The Disney movie.
Tommy DeVito jerseys on sale. Let's go.
Now that he's got a win under his belt, please. The Disney movie is already in the works. They're working on casting. Over. We're going to. It's in 2024. There's going to be Tommy with an exclamation point. The improbable story of the kid from Jersey coming home and making good and living in his parents' home and being the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. That's
a 30 for 30. 30 for 30 seconds, but 30 for 30.
That screams
30
Disney
seconds.
Plus. It screams Disney Plus. It screams something that's going to air during the holidays.
Irrelevant fan. First of all, thanks for hanging out for so long. We appreciate you. And this might be the comment of the night. DeVito is the best quarterback that still lives with his mama.
There you go.
Can we please bring her on? Can we, Ben? Like seriously, like Irrelevant fan. I want you on this show.
Come on, Irrelevant fan. Come on in.
Ben, can you two work it out? Bring her on the episode like after the 13th, after the 6th.
Need another female on here. Let's go.
December 13th. All right, yeah, like Irrelevant fan, we want you on the December 13th episode. So you're the guest. Ben, work it out with your little, isms and whatnot. Just one thing: Hard Knocks in season Miami Dolphins first episode's been on.
By the way,
Max
I read if you do have the time and do care, I did read a pretty cool article on their head coach Mike McDaniel. It was really good. I was on.
He was a Broncos ball boy.
It went in depth and on a little bit of his. I had no idea, but addiction issues. He had some. It was just about how quirky he is. Like, I don't know. It was really good, and talked about some of the Dolphins, players, how much their locker room is so fun due to his personality. It was cool.
And sounds good. And being that Thanksgiving is coming up, we're coming in the holiday season, just want to say that I'm thankful for all of you lovely folks for, doing this show with you guys. We've been doing this for a very long time. So we will be, for the duration of the year, doing Wednesday episodes because your boy got flag football on Tuesdays, but I'll try not to, I'm going to get some touchdowns for you guys. But anyway, just thankful for all of our listeners. Thankful for you, Ben. Thankful for you, Tigney. Thankful for you, Gary Legend. I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving. Watch some good football. There's a lot of, darkness going on in the world. We won't get into too much detail on that. There's a lot of people going through some tough times. So just be thankful for just the things that you have, even if it's something very simple. So God bless all you guys.
People, the little things matter. Check in on your homies. Check in on your people. Yes. The little things matter.
And it's okay for men, to show emotion to each other and be open and be vulnerable. It's okay. Right. I've known these knuckleheads, Ben and Gary, for damn near 15 years. So
I love that this turned into a public service announcement. I just want to say that.
Well, Gary, I know you, raggedy Giants fan, you are depressed. I get it. Let us
sponsored by Seabiscuit. Yes.
Man, you all Grinch and shit. I said what I said.
It happened. Look, things happen. We understand where we're at, and the future's bright, I guess.
Shout out to Seabiscuit.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Let's
cut a bow on this one. That's it.
Goodbye.